Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to create your lid. Here's my box. It's all enclosed. First, I want to smooth it out. So what I'm going to need for all this, you can use a rib. There's a couple different kinds, okay? For this project, I'd probably use this one just because it's stiffer and it won't bend as much. You're also going to need an X-Acto knife to cut your lid off. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to take my rib and I'm going to smooth all this out. Okay, I want it fairly smooth. I can go both directions. Make sure that all my seams are filled in. Okay, I'm going to do all the sides. Kind of press a little bit. Be careful you don't. If it's not leather hard, you're going to have a really hard time because it's going to be bending in. And you're going to end up with some big indents, which you do not want. Okay, so I'm going to do that for all the sides, making it as smooth as possible so that when I start cutting and everything, I don't have to go back and try and smooth afterwards. Okay, and then I'm also going to turn it on its side, do this way. Making sure those corners are nice and clean. Sometimes you get these little cooties on there and you're gonna have to just kind of roll them off. Okay, so for the most part, that's pretty good. Could probably go back. I would make it smoother if I had more time, but you get the point. Okay, so you have to decide, well, you should have already decided what kind of lid you want, okay? You could have one that just sits on top. You can have one that comes down the sides. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do one coming from down the side. Okay, so I'll make sure that this is nice and tight. Okay, I'm gonna do this, my actual top, I think. All right, so I'm gonna decide where I wanna cut it. I should make my lines first. Don't just start cutting and then, oops, I messed up. Okay, so let's say maybe you want something like this. And again, it doesn't have to be fancy like this. Okay, but it does have to, you do have to make sure that it lines up with the other side. Okay, so once I have it outlined where I want it, then I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. And actually, I'm gonna use a ruler to do this to make it nice and straight. Okay, so I'm gonna cut all the way through. Okay, again, using my ruler so that I know it's nice and straight. Okay, again, your lid does not have to be this fancy. Okay, but you do want to make sure that it lines up and goes all the way around. Okay, so once I cut it off, hopefully I can just pull it off. If you, oh, let me get this side. Yeah, you got to do them all, unlike what I just did. Okay, so once I do that, it should pop off, okay? Now, if you notice, okay, this was actually my top and this was actually my bottom because you can see where I blended all this in, okay, which is fine. It's just gonna be upside down. So I need to go back, make this nice and smooth. Okay, don't do much with this because you want it to fit perfect. But you can go in and smooth it out. Okay, this was actually my top. Okay, so you notice that I don't have the coils on the inside, so I need to go back and add those coils in there. Okay, to reinforce that. Because if you don't, it's not going to be strong. So I'm going to push that coil right in the corners. Okay, kind of push it into the crack with your hand. And make sure you get all of the sides. Okay, once I do that, then I'm going to go ahead and take my wood tool and I'm going to blend it in like I did all the rest of the slabs. Okay, support it on the other side. Okay, you want to smooth it out the best that you can. Okay, again, doing all of the sides. Okay, and then afterwards, you'll go back in with your hand and smooth it more. Okay, and if you have any excess, you can just kind of take that off. So now I got it all in there. Okay, I'm gonna take my hand, I'm gonna smooth it out. You don't wanna leave all that excess in there because it's a container. You wanna put stuff in. So if you have all this extra clay, you're not going to be able to put anything in it. It's gonna be all bunched up and sharp and all of that. So smooth it all out with your finger. Okay, kind of like so. All right, so it should be smoothed out. Better than that, but I just did mine real quick. Okay, so now for our lid, okay, which actually was my bottom down there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I have to create a ridge along this to prevent it from moving, okay? So what I want to do is I'm gonna take a